First is Neil.
Neil, okay.
Then comes Aditya.
Hang on one second here. Neil, and then, Aditya.
After which comes Karthik.
Karthik.
And finally Deep.
And finally who? Deepjot.
Yep.
And does Karan speak?
Actually, we're missing two members, Karan and Shripad.
Okay. Shrideep and Karan?
Yeah, Shripad and Karan.
Okay. Got it. Okay. Neil, we are ready for you when you are ready for us.
Good morning, everybody. Namaskara. Let me tell you a little bit about Team Dione. Who are we? What is Dione? Let's have a little bit of a look at it. Let's look at a few more stories about it. Who is the team? We have a mix of engineers, both hardware and software. Somebody who's been fiddling around in marketing for a while. Some more engineers. A director of storage devices, software storage devices. And the father of the group, so to say, Karan. The entire genesis of Dione came around when we all met up at Stanford Ignite, and Karan had a seed of an idea. So let me just take you through the idea and the story behind Dione. Karan has a company called One Martian Way. And One Martian Way did India's first ever successful drone delivery for a small little company called Burger King. Now that happened in Bombay back in January of 2015. And when that happened, what it did was show Karan and his company the tremendous potential around drones and their commercial applications. However, a bit of a spanner in the works, as you can say. The regulations in India did not actually permit commercial use immediately. There was a lot of red tapeism, a lot of permissions to be sought. So it sort of, grounded things a bit. Then we all met up at Ignite. And we got talking about what we could do. And something else slipped into the mix. What is that? There is another visible problem that we could have looked at. Let's look at the fact that we have children in India today who are largely getting inactive. They're not into sports. They don't do too much of physical activity. Kids are addicted to iPads. They're addicted to television, to playing video games. There's a genuine lack of entertainment and educational games. And for an Indian parent, everything must add value. If my child is not doing something and not learning at the same time, the parent gets very angry. Every parent also wants their child to do very well, to compete, to be the best among his or her peers. So all this led to an issue of a lack of edutainment options. However, is there an opportunity? As we were talking to Karan, there's a general buzz around drones, about robotics, about programming among children in India. The maker movement, as they say, is really taking off. And if you look at drones in the current scenario, they are almost everywhere. Every second or third day has an article about drones being used for something or the other in India. But what are the types of drones available in India? And the ones I'm talking about are the ones available for kids. Largely unbranded. They're very easy to break. They don't have too much of educational value. You can just fly them up and down a bit, and after that the kids get bored. There's no real interaction among kids and their friends. And how do I know this? I am the father of a 9-year-old daughter who largely sits in front of the TV all day. And so do the rest of her friends. Then we did a little bit of thinking. Could we marry the two? on one hand, there are lack of edutainment games. On the other hand, you have kids who are getting inactive. The bigger picture has a whole lot of buzz around drones and programming. So, you have drones. You have a lot of inactive kids. You have the maker movement that's doing the rounds. Iffy quality of drones available in the market. A genuine lack of edutainment options. Is there something behind that? Can we do something about it? We did a little bit of a survey just to test the waters and just to sort of test whether our theory is right, we're on the right track. We actually went to retail stores across 3 cities, interviewed parents, interviewed kids, and tried to do a sort of a focus group and get a feeling about, what makes children tick in terms of the toys they play with. What makes parents tick in terms of the type of toys they want to buy their kids. How much are they willing to spend? We came up with a solution, and we're really excited about it. A drone in every home. Something that's easily available, low cost, sturdy, and, to top it all, is programmable and interactive. So we're on to something here. And to take it further, we have Aditya.
India's first DIY programmable drone kit. I'm just going to wait a second here and let everyone realize the opportunity that we have in front of us. Now, we realize that there's thousands of drone manufacturers in the country and all around the world. And we realize that the innovation doesn't lie in manufacturing. How we plan to deliver India's first DIY programmable kit is by designing on-ground workshops and creating an online community. Now, what we realized through our intensive surveys, as Neil mentioned, is that parents are looking for engaging activities which are also educational for their children. What we plan to do is focus on initiatives that promote STEM. So STEM stands for science, tech, and engineering and mathematics. By creating an online community, what we're planning to do is generate curiosity amongst kids and push them towards competing against each other. What this will enable us to do is give a hands-on approach to something which is currently non-existent in the market. Some of the sample workshops include a laser tag activity, for example. So picture this, picture Tom Cruise in Top Gun, but Tom Cruise is a kid who's controlling a drone in a classroom. We want to engage children, and we want to make sure that they learn interesting concepts such as flight dynamics, usage of sensors, and going forward and competing with their teammates. Some other activities include minefield inspection in a mock minefield, or time competitions to figure out electrical faults in linings. By delivering these workshops, what we plan to do is use them as a marketing channel to drive traffic from on-ground activities to our online website. And on our online website, we plan to sell our products, which are the drone kit itself and modular attachments which the children can use as and when they need it. To talk about more of our market strategy and how we're going to move forward, I'm going to hand over to Karthik.
So, we're going to conduct workshops for Tier 1 and Tier 2 cities. So basically, we did a survey and we found that there are about 10 million children in the top 20 cities. As you can see the list there. So basically, we'll be targeting the children, and later we'll also target hobbyists when we improve our drones. So let me talk about the go-to-market strategy. So we have on-ground activities where we'll be going to schools and giving workshops, and we'll also go to gated communities and show them demos, how things are happening, and we'll also go to malls, retail stores, do some promotions there. Additional to that, we also have online promotions where we also sell drones from various e-commerce websites, and also our own website. So the next thing will be given by Deep.
I'll talk a bit about the unit economics here. So the drone kit that we're selling, we are sourcing it from a supplier in China. The manufacturing cost we are getting is $40, and after the shipping and delivery, we get it for 75 here. Topping 30% markup of profit on that, we are planning to sell it for under $100. Now, looking at the DJIs and 3DRs that are selling out in the market, which go up to $1,000, and the value they give to the customer is only, it's a brainless toy that you can just fly around. You cannot program it, you cannot put it in an edutainment context as such. So $100 in India, we believe would take off really well. And we also have our revenue source as the workshops we're doing in the schools and the institutions. As we are entering the market, we are going through schools. So it would be an instant and a consistent source of revenue for us to take the operations forward. And once we have directed the traffic to our online community, where we are selling the spares and the drones as a kit, it would add to the revenue. So the numbers we're looking at here is 23,000 sold in the schools and another 3,700 sold online. So total of that is some 26,000 units sold in the year, and a revenue of total $500,000 in the first year. Now, the product that we are selling needs to have R&D done on it. We are just, in the first version, giving a very basic drone that you can program the flight pattern, and you can maneuver it using a telemetry channel. So we have 4 phases of product R&D, which are 6 months each. And every phase basically focuses on the efficiency and smartness of the drone. So in the 3rd and the 4th phase, we'll start focusing on the usages of the commercial sector as well. So in the future, if we have a ecosystem set up for us to source the components, and we have had a good footprint in the market, we may even explore the commercial usages of our drones. Now, the business timelines for us also have 4 phases. In the first phase, that spreads over the next 3 months, we are prototyping and we are reaching out to the target audience and testing our first version of the drone kit. In the second phase, we are partnering with the suppliers, with the manufacturers, and we are launching our website for the online community, and we are starting to produce the drones. And in the 3rd phase, we are going out to the market and starting our workshops. And in the 4th phase, we do new releases, we launch new versions, new product lines for our drones, and we work more on the community building so that we can keep the customer engaged for long term by selling them the components. So, as we've understood, there's immense potential in the drone technology in India and across the world. The value that we are giving in a low-cost drone kit is immense in the Indian context. So our offer is for you to invest in us and fly with us. We'll be happy to take any questions. We are the drone team. You can reach us at our website. Thank you so much.
Okay, I actually think I do want to practice questions a bit. Deepjot, you did a really nice setup for the Q&A. I would like you to take a few questions. One of you needs to serve as kind of the moderator for Q&A. Are you comfortable doing that, Deepjot?
Yes, sure.
Okay, so what I want you to do is take a few questions from the audience in India, and then I may ask one as well, but start with your classmates that are seated there.
Anyone with a question?
I just have a question. You're saying your drone is interactive and programmable. At the same time, you've also stressed that the regulations are still not in place. There are restrictions to flight drones, airspace restrictions and other regulations. The moment you make it programmable, of course, you know the kind of smart kits that you see today, don't you think they would indulge advertently or inadvertently in trying to trespass into restricted airspace and create problems? So you will enable such activity unknowingly.
So to answer that question, there are some products already out in the market. They are of low quality, which people can still maneuver and get into the restricted airspace. So to handle that, what we are looking at is to keep the range of these drones to about, say, 50 to 100 feet, so that there's only the playground that the kid is flying it, or a gated community where he can fly it. And he cannot take it to a restricted airspace. So as to say, if there's a military installation or something, for the security reasons. And also what we can also do is to have a firmware on board that can ensure we maintain the database of the GPS coordinates where it is not allowed to fly. Now this will happen when we engage more with the regulatory authorities, and once the guidelines are clearly set out. So the DGCA in India is actually working on setting out the guidelines, but it's only for the commercial use. So that is the reason why we didn't penetrate through the commercial sector. So in the edutainment market, in the kids, it's more like a toy to start with, but it will eventually evolve into something that you can program into, your custom use cases, and that's when we'll look at increasing the flight range and all that. So we are sure that by that time, because throughout the world, there are 5 countries which have openly accepted that drones are going to be used, and they have to set some guidelines. In the US, it has already started. The guidelines are out in a few states. So we are hoping the same for India as well. So I think we don't see that as a problem upfront, because the market segment and the product we have. I hope that answers the question.
Yeah, I think you did. Thank you very much.
Question here.
You said you're going to be going into Tier 2 cities as well. How did you arrive at the USD $100? Don't you think it's quite steep when you think about Tier 2 cities, or do you have any research that shows they're okay to pay $100?
I'll pass it to Neil for the answer.
Yeah, so when we looked at the target audience, obviously we looked at metros, Tier 1 cities. The thing that came up was Tier 2 cities are seeing a lot of online purchases. So there's an eBay study that was out, which actually talked about the Tier 2 cities being some of the people who are ordering the most. Secondly, we checked with a couple of schools. In a city like Solapur and Kolhapur, you won't believe it, there are people who are willing to pay between 5,000 to 10,000 rupees for a robotics workshop. Okay, so what we are seeing more in Tier 2 cities is that it's very aspirational. Parents want their kids to take part in such activities. It's almost like bragging rights. There is a tremendous market for them here. Hope it answers the question.
Final question.
I have a question there. Have you done any analysis on the competitors, or who are getting into this kind of field? Any data on that?
Pass it to.
So currently what people are doing, especially in India, is focusing on the commercial market, so which is more for agricultural use or industrial use or military use. In this particular market segment, we personally haven't come across any competitor as such. That's
Is this Aditya?
Yep. Also, there's more reason for us to. That's more reason for us to enter this market, because it's a low barrier to entry. So even if we're giving it at $100, our profit margins are significant if we can scale it up really quickly. Does that answer your question? Thanks.
Okay, let's go ahead and stop there. And at the end of Q&A, you want to have one final thought that you leave us with. So let's imagine that was the final question. Ronnie says there's no more time for questions. Who can give us a great final thought from the Dione team?
I'll do that. Thank you all for your questions, and we hope we've been able to answer them. So here's what I want to leave you with. We have a potential market of 10 million children, and that's just the tip of the iceberg in the top 20 cities. We've got nobody else who's building programmable drones. There is no online community like the one we are going to build. It's very aspirational. People want to be a part of this. The maker movement is taking off. We, as Team Dione, firmly believe that we are just poised to zoom off into the atmosphere. So come, invest with us, and be a part of the fun ride. Thank you.
Nicely done. Nicely done. I often find that we get so busy rehearsing the other parts of the presentations, we forget to rehearse the Q&A. And so I'm glad we took a little bit of time to play with those questions and work on that. The presentation itself, we are right now at 19 minutes and 34 seconds. So you have plenty to add more content if you choose to add more content. We say 20 to 25 minutes. If you only have 15 minutes of content, that's fine. But there's room to add more content and then to expect a lot more questions. What I think I would like to do here is go ahead and take your seats in the second row or further back, somewhere that there's a microphone in front of you. And we're going to do something different rather than what I did with the last team. While they're going there, and actually if Team Sparkplug, if you guys could go ahead and move to the center section. If everybody is in the center section, that'll be easier for me just to feel like I'm having a conversation with you. I may come back to the slides. I haven't decided or not yet. In terms of the Q&A, I would urge, there's going to be a little bit of cultural difference between me, the pushy American, and you, the very diplomatic, respectful Indian citizens that you are. I would encourage that you not ask at the end of every question, did I answer that question correctly? I would actually move to the next question. If a member of the panel doesn't think you answered it correctly, they can ask a follow-up question. But a little bit, the end of that Q&A, I felt weakened the speakers rather than allowed you to be strong. And I would encourage the more questions that you get out, the better, rather than checking to see if you answered the last question correctly. And then the moderator did a really good job, the second, third, and fourth questions, of handing them off to other people. It may be useful, whoever plays the moderator for both teams, to restate the question. That also gives your teammates a little bit of time to figure out which of them wants to answer, and you may even need to restate it in a way that's the way you want to answer it. But the biggest thing with Q&A is make sure you look like a team. Make sure you all come forward, make sure you know what slide is going to be behind you, and make sure you know who is going to be directing traffic. If you can get the final close in, the final close that we just heard was very strong from Neil. Probably could be a little shorter, but it ended again with a call to action. You asked us to invest, which is great. Too many of the Ignite students forget. They just want to talk about the technology that they're innovating. They forget to ask us to be involved, to invest, to offer advice, to open up our address book and introduce them to people. So I know that, Dione, you are missing 2 members of your team, including, I think, the idea generator. So you're operating at a little bit of a deficit, correct?
We actually have the idea generator on Skype, so if you want him to get he's right here.
Oh, hey Karan, how are you?
I'm doing great. I've been an observer over here. I think my team has done very well.
I am glad that you're with us, and I appreciate the effort it takes for you to be a part of this conversation. Awesome. I'm a little concerned that we're seeing a beach and volleyball behind you. That doesn't look very serious. Somebody tell him what I said. He's smiling, but he doesn't know I'm laughing. Okay.
Yeah, so yeah, we're missing a couple of people for the presentation. So.
All right, so I want to do an activity that I didn't do with the Sparkplug team, and I would encourage the Sparkplug team on your own to do this. but it's a useful way to kind of look at, I talked about the need for a theme and the need to be clear about what your theme is. If you can imagine that at the beginning of your presentation, the audience is over here at point A. This is a river, down here is water, down here is a fish, and you want to get from point A to point B. Over at point A, they are uninformed, they are unaware, and possibly, not here at Ignite, but in other places, they may even be resistant. They may not want to let go of their rupees to invest in the innovation that you are bringing forward to them. Your goal as a team of entrepreneurs is get them over here to point B. At point B, they're ready to invest, they're ready to volunteer, they're ready to mentor, they're ready to help you get this innovation off the ground. The whole goal of a presentation is to be able to move the investors from point A to point B. We do that by building a bridge from point A to point B. Now, the overarching part of the bridge is the theme. It is what you want us to remember about the problem and solution that you're doing and why this matters. So for the Dione team, what is that overarching theme? What is the big idea about your innovation and ultimately about your presentation that pulls everything together? It's kind of the umbrella under which everything else falls.
It's India's first programmable do-it-yourself kit.
So that tells me about the product, but keep going. It's Karthik, right?
Aditya.
Do I have the, Aditya.
Yeah.
Aditya. Oh, you even put your name there. Thank you. That's the product, but as an investor, I want to know a little more than that. What about India's first do-it-yourself kit? Why does it matter?
It matters because there's nothing similar in the market, and the fact that it's reprogrammable.
Okay.
And because it's reprogrammable, we can educate children in not just one delivery method, but continuously over a period of time.
Okay.
So we're not just engaging on a one-off basis, but through our online
the features over there can be implemented in a school setting, as opposed to most of the drones right now where it requires an outdoor setting and things like that. But over here, we are in the schools and we are adding that educational value, giving it to the drone, to the kids, with a host of activities that are possible because of the drone and its form factor. So that's the distinguishing factor.
How can we, thank you, how can we articulate that as an overarching theme? The theme needs to be, again, almost like the bumper sticker, 7 to 11 words. That captures that it's reprogrammable, that it supports education, that it's innovative. What can we say?
The kids, we want the future.
Mute me. Mute me.
Yeah, the drones are the next big things, right? It's one of the next big things. The kids who are the future must be a part of this evolution, right? So you get them young, you get them a feel of technology, you get them a feel of future right when they're young. So that's how broadly I would theme it. Maybe in 7 words, we'll have to look at how to put it.
So you're even getting help from the other team who wants to see, this is how successful you're going to be. Everybody wants to see this work. So I'm going to take a little bit of what I heard and I'm just going to put it into a theme for now This is not the right answer, but it will get us closer. So, reprogrammable drones to educate children providing long-term opportunities. Opportunities is a little soft, but what I wanted to get at was that investors are going to look at, there's got to be a product, there's got to be a need, and there's got to be profit from it. And so I was trying to get those three ideas in there. You could find better language to describe that and capture it so that it's more more memorable. But that's what we're looking for, is an overarching theme that gets the investors from being uninformed, unaware, and resistant to investing, volunteering, mentoring, and helping. Is there anything that I don't have captured in that big theme before we look at the individual theme of each speaker? Did I miss anything? Okay, so the next piece that, oh yes, please, go ahead.
It's the first of its kind because there's nothing currently like this in India.
Oh, okay. So we'll add revolutionary or pioneering. Something that can get at that sense of the first of its kind.
Think out of the Xbox and learn to fly.
That may be a better advertising slogan than a drone in every home, because a drone in every home, you talked a lot about schools, and I was like, okay, so a drone in every home, but what about every school? So keep playing. We're looking, you will get there if you keep at this. You will absolutely get there. So the next piece is we then have to create individual themes for each little piece of the presentation that's going to move the panelists along the bridge. So starting with the first part that would usually be delivered by Karan. Well, I don't know that actually. Neil, would you be delivering the opening usually?
Yes, I will be doing that.
Okay. So what is your little idea for your opening? What's the main message of your 3 or 4 slides?
The main message would be, one is that we have the expertise, because I start off by talking about Karan and the successful drone delivery done for Burger King. The second is how we managed to get 2 problems together into one opportunity. So, the actual red tapeism on commercial drone flying, and if you look at the inactivity among kids, we actually brought these 2 together to create something which is fun and entertaining for children. So I bring it to that level and then leave it, and then it's a launch pad for the solution.
Okay, so, and I think those are kind of 2 separate themes. So I'm going to start with the first one being, we have the expertise. We have uncovered this. And we set ourselves apart because of that expertise. And then the next pillar gets into the problem statement, which is actually a 2-part problem. There's 2 issues. There's 2 items that are at concern, and that is, give it to me again, Neil, the lack of activity by kids.
The lack of, kids being inactive today, and the second being there's too much of red tapeism around commercial use for drones.
So inactivity and bureaucracy.
Exactly.
Are stifling this innovation.
Right.
You have this innovation, and this innovation is being stifled by inactivity among children and bureaucracy among government officials. Then we go to Aditya. Aditya, what is your little idea for your presentation?
So I build on our unique selling proposition and what our solution is and how we're delivering the solution. And then I build it
Okay,
on to,
say more about that.
So I talk about our product and how we distinguish from other products, because we're not a product innovation, we are a service innovation. So after I describe the product, I delve into how we're delivering that solution through workshops and building an online community. Then I move on to saying how we're using those workshops as a marketing channel to drive people who are taking the workshops to our online website.
And does everything you say fit into innovative service model?
Well, not everything I say, because I have to cover Karan's part or Shripat's part as well in this particular presentation.
Okay, so for the sake of this, let's divide the two.
Okay.
So Karan would speak about the product itself, and then you come up and talk about the service?
Yes.
Okay. So what is the little theme about the product piece?
That
it's reprogrammable.
Yeah, it's India's first programmable do-it-yourself kit.
That one's actually pretty easy. Okay. Then what's the piece that you would usually deliver yourself?
About how we're using this product, but we're delivering it using workshops and an online community. So we design workshops and we build an online community.
Got it. And no one else is doing that either?
Not in the combination of things. So there's people who are separately doing online communities internationally.
Got it.
And then there's people who are doing workshops in India around robotics and not drones.
Okay.
Yep.
Good. So then, Aditya, you hand off to Karthik. And Karthik, what is your idea for your piece of the presentation?
So I'll be telling about the market size, and then I'll be telling about the go-to-market strategy. So in market
and
size, I'll be projecting.
What's the quick summary of that or synthesis of that idea?
I'll be telling about the potential, market potential, the number of students where we'll be capturing in the beginning, and the ways how are we going to sell the product and service.
Okay, so huge potential and the ability to capture. Is that safe?
Yes.
Does everything I said capture everything you say?
Yes.
Okay, good. And then you hand off to Deepjot. And Deepjot, what's your big idea?
Yeah, so where I took it from Karthik was that the unit economics of our drone kit. So I'll walk them through the cost that we are offering the kit at, and also the comparison of the other drones that are available in the market. And that's one of the key differentiators we have. So we are comparing something like $800 or $1,000 to a $100 kit that we are offering.
So is everything in your part that we are profitable?
That's one part. After that, I'll go on to the revenue streams that we have. One is the selling of the drone kits. Second is the engagement with the schools. We are selling some drones there as well. And also the modules that we'll be sending online later. So the key thing that...
So profitable across two channels.
Yeah. So also the key thing we want to highlight here is that the customer acquisition value is actually low for us, because we are reaching out to the market, reaching out to the schools where the consumers are already there, and they're mandatorily, they have to give us attention in the workshops. And also the lifetime value is quite high, because we'll keep them engaged with the,
yeah, and that all fits inside of you're profitable because you're going through two channels.
Yeah, right, right.
Yeah, and I'm just trying to get the themes for each piece, and I think everything you say falls inside of that.
Okay. So
and then you do what nobody else does, or what some of the people this morning didn't do, is you then actually ask us, to be a part of this at the end of that.
Yeah, right.
You actually invite the investment.
Yeah, right.
So, okay.
So
what we have...
One more thing before that.
Go ahead.
So we'll also talk about the product R&D, because there's one thing, today we talk about the commercial usage to be completely closed. We just want to give the investor a sense that if it opens up tomorrow, say 2 years down the line, we just want to give them a sense that we'll be ready for it then. So we have a product roadmap set where we have phases where we are trying to bring more smartness onto the drone. And even if it is serving the children, the kid segment, but tomorrow if it is needed, we won't have to go into a new R&D cycle. So that roadmap is what I'll walk them through as well. And then I'll give the closing comments and the ask for investment.
Okay. So what I'm hearing here, and you guys may want to, I did this very quickly. I did this in about 10 minutes. You guys may want to sit with your own whiteboard in one of the rooms at Infosys and do this more widely. But what I'm hearing here is that the overarching theme, the big thing that you want to be sure they get, is that you have a revolutionary reprogrammable drone that will help educate children, providing long-term return on investment, long-term opportunities. That's the big theme. Inside of that, you have the expertise to uncover the innovation. You have two ways in which this is a problem to move forward. Children are interactive and the bureaucracy is stifling. But with those two problems, you're introducing the first programmable do-it-yourself kit, which is going to be not only the product, but coupled together with the service, which is community and workshops. Nobody else is doing that. It's an innovative business model. That innovative business model has huge potential. And because of that huge potential, you guys also have the ability to capture that potential. We're going to capture that potential, which then is going to make us profitable across 2 channels. We're going to be profitable across 2 channels. You need to be a part of this. If you don't invest in us, you are going to miss the boat.
Right.
Some sort of mapping like that of the individual positions of each speaker fitting into the overarching method, the overarching theme. If you find that there are parts that don't move the person down the bridge, that don't move me closer from A to B, then maybe they don't fit inside of the presentation, or maybe you don't have the right theme. But doing that level of analysis, what's happening right now without this, you have 5 individual speakers who are doing talks about drones, but they're not knitted together. This sort of a theme, and this will help the spark plug as well, this sort of a theme that pulls it together allows you to be more cohesive. Any questions from the Dione team about this? Excellent. Play with it a bit. This is very hard to read, but I'll take a picture of this and send it to you with my notes so that you can think about the ways in which you could take that and make that work for you. In the time that we have left here, I'm going to send you the notes as speakers. I'll give you a choice. You had told me at the beginning that your slides were not complete yet. I don't want to spend a lot of time on the slides if you have a lot more work yet to do. That may not be fair to you. I can either spend some time looking at the slides, I could spend some time looking at individual speaker notes, or I could just field questions that you have from the team. What's going to serve you the most and help you feel the best?
I think we still have significant work to do on the slides. So
okay.
Speaker notes might be more efficient use of time at this stage.
Okay. Okay, good. So you will get these notes from me. And I'll just hit the major piece for each speaker. There are pluses and deltas for all of you. There are things that went well, things that didn't go so well. But I'll just give you my biggest piece of advice. Neil, for you, I really need you to do something at the beginning that captures our attention and gives us a sense of where we're going and why this is important. We were well over 1 minute into the presentation, and we still didn't know what the product was or what the problem was that you were solving. It may just be reversing the order. It may be that you begin telling us, we have uncovered a way in which drones can be used that you are just not going to believe no one else is doing, and we're ready to capture that market. Right. Tease us. Before I tell you that, let me tell you about our team. Let me tell you about what we've done to get us ready, and then fill that gap in. But there was too much preface with somebody else might walk away and not know that this is something they need to be involved in. Okay? So capture us more at the beginning. Oh, I do got to ask one slide question. Can somebody pull up the green battery slide for me so I can ask Neil about it?
Green battery.
There we go. Neil, you deliver this, right?
I did, yeah.
Yeah. It looks to me like those are not parallel. Some of those are assets and some of those are liabilities.
Okay.
And so, yeah, and so I think if you're going to do a building block slide like that, I think the elements need to be in parallel construction. These are all good things that are creating a perfect storm for this idea, or these are all bad things that are creating a problem we need to solve. You've kind of mixed the problems with the solution, and it's a little muddy.
Okay, got it.
You got two things on your speaker notes. Aditya, I just have to compliment, you really listened when I gave the feedback to the Sparkplug team, and you did a really beautiful transition based on what I had talked about you guys should do. Really nicely done.
Thank you.
The move from the photos to the illustrations. Let's go one slide further. I'm not concerned about the way the slide looks. Get to the one that has the sketches. Further.
No, this one.
There. You deliver this one, right?
Yes, correct.
Yeah. I got lost in terms of the content. Mm-hmm. When we moved from photos to sketches, somehow it didn't flow for me. What is the main message here? What is it that you want me to be left with?
We're just trying to explain some of the activities that we're planning in the workshops. So one of them is a laser tag activity, which would be like a dogfight between two drones with two students controlling it.
Got it.
Yeah.
And so these are just examples of the types of things that you would do inside of the schools?
Correct.
Okay. I don't know why that threw me. I go back one slide. I'm not sure. And when you watch the video, and make sure you guys do watch the video, it just didn't flow. Okay. As you went from the workshops into the activities. Mm-hmm. It was harder for me to follow exactly what you meant.
Okay.
So just make sure you do some internal signposting to make that work.
Will do.
Okay?
Will do.
Karthik. Karthik, your part was very short. You sat down and I was like, he's not done yet? Really? Is he done? I'm wondering, now your piece is huge potential and ability to capture that potential. Is that right?
Yes.
Is there a story you can tell? Is there a comparison you can draw? Is there something that will make this more vivid for us to be able to remember it? Is there a way you can illustrate it in a graph or a chart? what could you do that will allow your part to have more substance to it for me as an audience member?
We can have graphs and charts to get the potential, the market potential, what we are actually trying to focus on.
Yeah. You know, I think that may be it. I think you may be on to something there. I think if we can see it visually, it will allow you to be more excited about it as you speak to it. Okay? But I think we need to have something that gives us a little more life and a little more excitement around the part because the part that you're telling is crucial in the model. And so that's what I would try to add is some visual storytelling with charts and graphs.
Okay.
Okay?
Yeah.
Is there a question? Okay, you got it. And Deepjot. I've said it several times. I am delighted that you had an ask, and I wanted the ask to be more specific. What is it that you precisely want of me?
To start with, we need some seed money. We have the exact figure of what we are looking at. It's something around 10,000 US dollars to start with, for us to procure the initial set to penetrate into the education market. So we have a specific number. If you want us, we can state that up front.
What else do you need? $10,000 isn't much. Pablo could write a check for $10,000 here today. He's my camera guy. He doesn't want to write a check for that much, but he could. What else do you need besides $10,000?
We need a network which can help us get into the education market, which can help us because some schools in India have that resistance to the corporations who want to make money out of the schools. So we are definitely adding some education value, but the moment they realize we are selling kits and all that, we may get some resistance. So some kind of network that can help us, get through that problem, or which can help us at least tie up with at least one school chain to start with.
Got it. Got it. So what I would urge is you guys have built a beautiful case. In fact, as I went through the bridge exercise with you, I was even more excited about what you are doing and the potential for what you're doing in India. So when you get to the end, Deepjot, asking for $10,000, 10,000 US, may be too little, maybe too small for you to actually ask. But to be able to get to that point and say, right now, we need a small amount of seed money, and we need introductions inside of the educational community in India. 6 months from now, we're going to be doing another round, at which point we'd love to have the chance to come back to you and talk to you more. But right now, this is what we need. You had an ask, and watch it on the video, you can see how you did it, but it just was a little too vague and not specific enough. And if it can be more specific, I can either say yes or no, or we can negotiate. So overall, we can go back wide for the whole audience. Overall, everybody, and I'm glad that you two were matched with each other. Ronnie was brilliant to put the two of you teams together so that you could see you're both approaching serving kids and serving kids in a different way. Both of you are in a really good place for where you need to be 2 weeks out of the presentation. Now, I haven't said everything that I could say about the presentations. I wanted to focus on the things that I thought were most useful for both teams. That sense of visual, that the visuals support the message that you're delivering, that sense of how to do Q&A and how to make sure you look like a team, how to do transitions, and then how to be clear about the overarching message and the individual messages of each speaker. You're going to keep working on these presentations. You're going to go through multiple iterations of the slides. I just want you to be know that you're in a good place right now, and the finish line is having a cohesive single presentation, then when you get to the end of it, we know that we want to be a part of what it is that you're doing. I have no question both teams are going to get there, and you've got time for the rest of the day today that you can work on that in addition to your mentor meetings that you have with the faculty who are on the ground there. Okay? Oh, there's one question. Yes, go ahead.
I just have one question. During the question and answer session, do you expect us, do you suggest that we roll back to the slide or we just answer them? So should the background also be the same?
If you want to choose what slide you want up during Q&A, and it should be a slide that is very powerful, that really captures and makes us remember what your product is all about. It could be a photo, it could be a chart, it could be a graph, it could be a quote, but you want to think about what's the most powerful slide in our show. And you want to be able to very easily go back to pull up other slides in your show. So if somebody asks a question about market sizing, it'd be great if you knew that that was slide 17. And you just hit 17 enter and you go back to slide 17 and you talk about market sizing. And then somebody asks about your team, you hit 2 enter, you go back to your second slide and pull up your team. So once the slides are set, you could just do a single page list of what each slide is, so that if you need to go there within Q&A, you can do that. And then once you've answered that question, go back to your Q&A slide. Whatever you do, don't make a slide with a huge question mark on it. That's the worst thing that you can put up during Q&A. Go to a blank screen before you put up a slide with a huge question mark on it.
Quick question.
Yes.
For the purpose of these presentations, is it okay to have certain slides with just images and talk more about the images, or do you think the investors might get lost because they're listening to so many different presentations?
It depends on execution. I saw some slides this morning that had some beautiful images in it, and they were telling some lovely stories around them. And if you can do that, the story may be memorable, but don't just decorate your slide deck by putting photos in. Make sure that they serve a purpose to you.
All right.
I do think particularly the first team could benefit from having some photo imagery because you're talking about helping kids and helping schools.
All right, thank you.
Thank you all. Have a good day, and we're going to take a short break while the next 2 teams come in. Bye, everybody.